This is Global Design Talk by btrax. I'm your host, Brandon. Today we have wonderful guest, Chris Ota from Lyft. Thank you for joining today.
My pleasure.
See, we've been friends for quite some time now, and finally we got a chance to talk design.
Yes.
So
Finally,
I'm very happy to have you here.
Awesome.
Currently, you're with Lyft. Why don't you start by explaining who you are, your background,
Sure.
what you do now? Yeah.
All right, I guess in a quick summary, originally born and raised in Hawaii, Honolulu, Hawaii. In high school, decided, hey, I like art, I like design, wasn't too sure what the differences were. And from there, went to a local community college where I studied web design and front-end development. And from there, graduated from the program. Oh my God, it's like 16 years now. It's been a very long time, I think, since I've been designing, but went straight to like local design agencies, building and coding websites. And then around 2014, 2015, actually, I realized there's a much bigger world out there from Hawaii. I've never lived anywhere else, so I decided to buy a one-way ticket, move to San Francisco, packed up everything. Didn't have a job or anything in line, didn't really know anyone in San Francisco, and just reached out to my network on Twitter, LinkedIn, so on and so forth, and just messaged people, hey, I'm moving, I need a job, I don't know anybody, I don't know anything, and as they say, timing is everything. I actually had a colleague or someone I knew on Twitter reach out to me and said, hey, an old colleague of mine is looking for a full-time contractor for Apple. Would you be interested? So fast forward, moved in the summer of 2015, started at Apple as a full-time contractor as a front-end designer, I guess, designing and building front-end these tools, internal tools for one of the teams. After a while, I realized, the commute to South Bay or Sunnyvale was very far from San Francisco. It was about 2 hours each way. It got very tiring, so I needed to look for something in the city. Fast forward to that, moved on to Lyft, and I've been at Lyft now for about 6.5 years. And I am focused on, I work within our Lyft business team, focused on our B2B products as well as our healthcare products.
Okay, that's very, very impressive. That's an impressive story. That's cool. Like I started as a web designer myself and moved to San Francisco, so similar. But how is the design community like in Hawaii?
I was sad to leave. The design community, as I feel like San Francisco or Bay Area, is just very small, very small, knit, connected. Everyone is trying to help out each other. I served on the board for AIGA Honolulu, which is like a national organization. We have our own chapter in Hawaii. And we're just trying to bring the community together. So for better or for worse, when it comes to getting jobs, I used to teach as well. I would tell my students, just go to these events. You never know who you're going to meet. It just takes one connection that can get you a job somewhere else. But I think today I still think about designers, up-and-coming emerging designers in Hawaii as well, because I want to give back to the community just to kind of help uplift the community there. And I feel like as a design community, whether it's there or the Bay Area, if you help kind of teach each other lessons that I had to deal with, it's like, well, how do we make life easier for these other up-and-coming designers and teach them about experiences so they don't have to go through the same troubles? And I think right now with the job market too, just trying to help them find the job as much as possible.
Cool. You said web designer, front-end developer first. Front-end meaning HTML, JavaScript, CSS?
For the most part.
For the most part.
Yeah.
And then you went to Apple. At Apple, you worked on internal tools. Again, UI design, front-end development?
Yeah.
And then Lyft. But you're not doing coding anymore now.
No. Okay. After I moved to Lyft, have not touched HTML or code at all. So I think the difference is, like at Apple, kind of a smaller team, and I would help design and build the UI. Then I would pass it off to like one of our full stack engineers or like a more trained front end engineer to kind of hook up the data and work with the back end team. But at Lyft, I'm more just visual, and we have our team of engineers where I can work in tandem to hand off those designs.
Did you say that you joined Lyft 2015?
No, I moved to San Francisco in 2015,
Okay, sure. Okay.
and I started Lyft, I believe, what is it, like 2017?
17.
Yeah, like 6.5 years ago.
How was the size of the company back then? Were they public already, or
No.
they were
So-
private at the time?
A lot of stories being there for that long, but our design team, we were about 25 people large.
Okay.
At our peak, I think about 150 on our design team. And then now we're a little under 100. And I just want to clarify that our design team is not just 100 designers or 150 designers. We call ourselves PD Plus, Product Design Plus, as an org, because we're inclusive of our other roles, which also include our research team. We have content designers or UX writers. We have our DPMs, our design program managers, which helps make sure everything runs smoothly. We also have our design systems team working on components, also like illustrators, animators, and other things like that. So it's that whole plethora of different types of roles within our team, including managers and directors and things like that.
Do they still have an office a couple blocks away from here?
Yes, so we're actually 5-minute walk from here.
Okay. That's the beauty of being Soma, San Francisco.
Yeah.
Cool. Very good. And your current roles are around. I understand that you are working on the product for medical professionals, healthcare professionals. Maybe you could explain.
That's one of the products.
Okay.
Yeah. So Concierge, I was the lead on designer for that for several years. So in a nutshell, it just allows nurses to dispatch rides for their patients who don't have a way to get to their hospital. So if you can think your grandmother, grandfather, someone immobile, you can't drive them, you don't have the time, no one can take them, how do they get to the hospital? So a nurse can use what we call our concierge application, request a ride for them online, they get a ride to the hospital and back, and in most cases, not in most cases, but they don't need a smartphone as well to receive the ride, or they don't need to be a Lyft member at all. So that's just like one of the examples.
That's quite unusual, unique type of services that you provide.
Yeah.
And I understand that it does take extra work to make something like that besides the app itself. So can you explain why Lyft decides to do that sort of like not the most cost efficient product to make, but maybe there's some reasoning behind it?
I think in the beginning when we built it, we had a different purpose, and then we saw a lot of these rides going to healthcare facilities, and we're wondering, what are they doing with this? And we decided, okay, we should pivot the product in a sense to make it a little bit more user friendly, to like book these rides and increase the way that folks who are using the application who aren't usually like tech savvy as well.
Okay.
So not only the rider do we have to think about, we also have to think about the nurse or someone at a car dealership. Their day-to-day is not to sit and request rides. Their day-to-day is help their patients or help customers at an auto dealership. So what's the fastest way they can go in, request a ride, and then go about their day as well?
Okay. I read another article before that during the COVID pandemic, a lot of people lost their jobs. So Lyft provides free rides to job interviews. Was that the case?
Yes, I can't. Off the top of my head, I don't have the specific markets or regions, but we did provide that. We also provide other services such as like voting services. If you have no way to get to the voting polls, then we'll provide a ride there. But,
Yeah. So what I'm trying to ask you is, I'm trying to figure out that it does seem like Lyft is trying to build up this brand, contributing to the society by through the products that they provide. So obviously you have a competitor who is focused on the business side maybe, but Lyft is not only making a lot of money, but also like giving back to the society. And is that one of the mission that Lyft has?
Yes. So we have a new CEO that started this year, and to quote, we are customer obsessed, and we want to focus on the right thing to do for our customers. We've always been trying to focus on that, but now it's like even more so. So as an example too, we have what we call driver earnings or driver transparency. You drive for Lyft. Where's my money going? Why am I not making that much money? We're trying to do what's best for the customer, and we're not hiding this information. We want to show driver earnings. So this is exactly where your money is going. Just like when you get a receipt, you eat at a restaurant, unfortunately at the end you see tax, and then you see San Francisco mandate tax and all these other things added on, but you see where your money's going. I think with drivers too, it's the same thing. Like we want to be as transparent as possible with our drivers. Yeah.
I understand Lyft was the first company to introduce the tipping system to add onto the fee. This is a long time ago when Uber started providing their services. Lyft just started providing their services. The one huge difference was Lyft had a tipping option, Uber didn't, and Uber copied it later. But so I can tell that Uber is trying to help the drivers as well as passengers. And your new CEO says customer obsessed. I understand customer includes both drivers and passengers, I guess, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and another service we just launched too, thinking about our riders, not just our drivers, is our Women Plus Connect, which helps women or people who identify as non-binary if they want to request another female driver or non-binary driver for that safety aspect of going home late at night. So we did just launch that. I'm not too sure on the market size right now or which markets we have launched in, but we did kick off that campaign, I believe, in October, late October, early November.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. As a designer, I understand sometimes serving customers doesn't always necessarily mean higher profit margin, at least for the short term. So how does Lyft make decisions in terms of serving better to the customers versus higher profit margin as a company, as a business? Are there any sort of process or guidelines out there when you make decisions or when you discuss product features or UI or whatnot? Any sort of process in place in the company?
Yeah, great topic. I do have notes on that. Let me go skip to that page. Yeah, I think since design is integrated so close with product and research, we do hear concerns from our customers about confusing experiences within our product, whether it's a rider, driver, or the B2B case, our business customers who use our products. So yeah, fixing certain problems won't really help us make a profit, but it does, and it will take time to fix, but we need to be advocates as designers, as researchers, whoever is on our team, whoever is in our company. We need to be advocates for our customers and make the point clear that every decision can't be made with metrics. Sometimes it's just the right thing to do. So as mentioning, like driver earnings transparency, it's not something like, oh, this is going to make us so much money, but it's like the right thing to do to help our customers understand our products better. They want to know where the fees are going, so that's what we're trying to break it down for them as best as possible. Even a lot of times, because our business users aren't exactly tech savvy, they're on the older side, they're not used to using our concierge product. So it's like, okay, we need to just make this button larger or clearer or something so it's easier to understand in the flow. It's not going to make us $1 million more or anything, but it just makes it easier for them to use. And I think, as we were discussing earlier, an external example I can think of, going to Japan, every restaurant you go to, you get a hot towel, you get a wipe in the restaurant. And I don't think any of these restaurants are making money by doing this, but it's just a customary thing that people have just grown to get used to. But if I was very focused on running my restaurant, I want to make every single penny, I want to save as much as possible, then I wouldn't offer something like this. But again, it's just thinking about your customers. It's like a nice thing to do, a nice gesture. How do you think about your product in that sense as well?
I'm interested in learning more about how Lyft builds up its brand, because I feel Lyft is really brand-centric company or design-centric company. And from day one, Lyft differentiates themselves from their competitors from user experience point of view, as well as design point of view, as well as brand point of view. How does the word design contribute to the success and serves as a key differentiation factor for Lyft?
Great question. I think there's a lot of intricacies involved with that. I can only start off by giving another example. You open in Apple products, you open Sony, you
Yeah,
open Samsung, you just get a new phone. What is that experience like? Obviously, you're getting the same tech device, but packaging, advertising, there's so many different elements to that. I think same with us trying to differentiate ourselves from the competitor. How do we stand out in the different light? And I think from the very beginning, when it was Zimride, a very long time ago, still a startup, they wanted to be the fun, friendly ride-sharing company where you could feel like you trusted your driver. You should always feel like you trust, as they say, you're getting into a stranger's car. So they would have like the giant pink mustaches in the front of the grill of the car.
I love that. Yeah.
When you would greet your driver before, it'd be like with a fist bump, people would sit in the front seat. But I think at the very beginning, brand recognition and how you portray your brand is like very important. So we are always seen as more of the approachable, fun company. Pink being our primary color. When you think of our competitor, it's like black as like the primary color. So even like those little things, our message and tone, working with our content design team, making sure it's like a welcoming type of message. It feels more friendly in the app. And I think the hardest thing to do, in my opinion, personal opinion, is if you try to pivot your brand's recognition later, it's going to be like very hard to do. Being at Apple, I can say this, but like when Apple Maps first launched, it was a disaster. Everyone was like, what is this product? Even till today, so many years later, people are like, I don't want to use Apple Maps because it was so bad. I'm like, the experience has changed significantly in how many years, but people still have that perception to that day. So I think trying to establish your brand and your identity is like very important from the start.
That's very, very interesting. I've met multiple people in San Francisco that they say they only use Lyft.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to use Uber. Obvious reasons. And they always say, I'll call Lyft. They don't even install Uber.
Mm-hmm.
I've never met anybody who says, I only use Uber, not Lyft.
Mm-hmm.
So there is brand loyalty going on there.
Yeah. Brand loyalty, I think, is like a very good word to this.
How do you measure results of product success of the product and success of the brand in terms of matrix measurement? Are there any particular ways that you measure results through maybe customer research or number of rides per month or?
Yeah, I can't go into too much detail, but you've touched on things, giving out surveys, talking to our drivers, having our research team, or even anyone in the company, they're encouraged to do these driver immersion days or research immersion days where they go to the airport and they talk to the drivers. What are you feeling? What are you angry about? What are you happy about? With our like business customers, our marketing and sales team does a good job in looping us in what their concerns are. Or if we have a research session with a business customer, like, hey, who wants to dial in and just kind of watch what they're saying and take notes? Because you can make as many guesses as you want when you're designing it, but to actually hear from the customer is very different. Our CEO, he's a very active driver with Lyft, and he's always driving on the holidays. So
he drives on Lyft.
Yeah. He's
as a driver.
As a driver. Yeah.
Oh, that's impressive.
So he sees the driver pain points. He talks to customers as he's driving them. Hears like the rider feedback firsthand. So I think integrating yourself and what we call like dogfooding your product as best as possible really helps you build like this customer empathy. And that's why he likes to say like customer obsessed, like what are we missing from these different angles? Yeah.
Does he ride as a customer as well? I mean, the rider?
I want to assume yes. I know he bikes a lot as well, so I think he's more on like that, like reserving our bike system and things like that. But I would assume yes, as a rider, he's active using the app.
Got it. I understand you were part of the product design team.
Mm-hmm.
How do you work with UX research team, maybe customer research team? How do those two teams work together?
Yeah, it's very fascinating how our organization is broken down. So we have one pillar, which is called like the PD plus org. So that's our design organization, which includes research, design, content design, DPMs. I also work in like our Lyft business group, which is like our PMs, our engineering, our marketing, our sales. So we overlap. Our Lyft business team is part of the design team and part of this like Lyft business line of business. So we work very closely with our cross-functional partners. So research, design, PM, research. I just said research, engineering, marketing, sales, data science as well. So our sales team or our research team will actually reach out to our PM team or whoever, like, hey, what questions do you want answered? Like, what do you want to know? What should we focus on for the next quarter? People will chat, put in their requests. Like, I want to know what is the biggest pain point for healthcare riders, specifically with X, Y, and Z. Research is like, cool, seems like an interesting problem. Let's figure out the best possible way to solve this, whether it's like, let's send out a survey, let's actually interview healthcare customers, let's go to a hospital and see exactly what's going on the floor of the hospital, and integrating whoever is available to participate with this research with them. So I think that's like how research is kind of for Lyft business, and I would imagine for the other parts of the lines of businesses, that's what they're doing.
Are there any particular activities that you guys are doing internally to make company culture as like design-driven company? Are you doing any sort of internal workshop like design thinking, education, or any particular cultural development activities inside of Lyft company?
Yeah, so we do several things. I think as a company-wide thing, we do in a company all hands once a month. And besides hearing from our CEOs, our executives, we also invite leads from other teams. Like if for like the Women Plus, like I was talking about earlier, inviting a designer to the stage. This is what we've designed for the past whatever months. This is how we went about doing it. This is how we got the buy-in, just so everyone's aware of like design's role and what we're doing at the company. At a smaller scale, our design team, we have a bi-weekly stand-up. And within this stand-up, we talk about the projects we've been working on for the past 2 weeks. And by the end of that, we send that slide deck out to the rest of the company as well, if they want to like review like the projects going on actively from a design perspective. Also, I helped co-lead a like mentorship program within our design org, just connecting other designers with each other, or if a designer wants to connect with a researcher to see how to work better cross-functionally, doing things like that. Actually, next week, I'm gone. We also have an internal design conference, just like you folks. We call it Sparks. So it's a 2-day internal design conference with our design team, just having different speakers, whether it's external or internal, based on a specific topic, and just like empowering and teaching other people on the design team like what they know. Yeah. So I guess there's many different aspects of that.
Cool. What will be some of the key criteria of great designer, in your personal opinions?
Ooh, great question. I think
there's no wrong answers.
There's no wrong or right answers. Something I do when I'm interviewing other folks, or even trying to define our interviewing principles, I think over the years, being able to be a good communicator and being able to know when to disagree and commit. As a junior designer, when I started, I wanted to always be right. It's like, I'm the designer, this is my title, listen to me. I like the color blue, I'm going to use it as a blue button. Like, you listen to me, I like this typeface, whatever. I think over time, you learn to communicate with others who are not designers to understand their point of view as well. The last thing you want to do if you're rebuilding your house or even redecorating the office is to like argue with the interior designer.
The professionals.
The professionals. It's like, okay, you talk to them, they'll give you their opinion, but at the end of the day, you don't want them arguing with you. And I think being able to be a good designer is just communicating your thoughts in an effective way, so other people who aren't designers, going to these exec meetings, speaking to product managers, data scientists, do they understand what you're trying to do? And I think as designers, we have the superpower of being able to just visually explain this, whether it's wireframes and a slide deck, crazy graphics, and just kind of making sense of all that crazy noise and then putting it together so anyone can understand. But I think if I had to like one thing that makes a great designer is just someone who sits and listens and takes feedback and is a good communicator as well as like participant with discussions.
How do you get evaluated as a designer
Evaluated?
in the company?
So, I think
You don't have to go into
Yeah,
details,
yeah.
but overall,
in terms of evaluation, we do have, it's no secret, every company has a career ladder.
yeah.
And there's several companies who actually have their career ladder public online. You can download it anywhere. But they evaluate things on like culture. How are you participating or helping uplift the culture at the company, your craft, how well are you actually like your Figma files, Photoshop, whatever tool you work in, like how refined are you, as well as your breadth of work, the scale of the impact that your work has. So based on those criterias, you can go and you'll see like the different levels and what you need to be aiming for the next level if you're trying to go up for promotion.
Have you made any horizontal moves in the company? Different types of products, different divisions?
Nope.
No.
I've
you've
been on
to-
Lyft
okay.
business the entire
Wow.
time, and people are extremely amazed. I think just
Yeah.
being there for 6.5 years, I think the average tenure I found online for Bay Area tech companies is like 1 to 2 years.
That's crazy.
And everyone is like, why do you stay at Lyft? Like, why are you on the same team? I'm like, I think at the end of the day, as mentioned earlier, like there's no egos on the team. We're just trying to solve the same problems at the end of the day. Everyone has different experiences and different backgrounds. I came from a 2-year degree. Some people are self-taught. Some people have PhDs. And it's just very fascinating to see who we get to work with at the company. But yeah, same team, 6.5 years.
Very good.
Happy.
That's very good. That's wonderful. Last question, could be off topic, but technology side. Obviously, there's autonomous vehicle technology coming up. Anything that, as a Lyft designer, you need to do at this point, or maybe AI and autonomous vehicle as a latest technologies. Are there anything that you are preparing for that to come in?
At this moment, not sure I can comment on that, but
Using AI for your work.
yeah. Yeah, I don't think this should be in the recording.
All right, that's good.
I think we're a very, what is the word I'm looking for? Play it safe.
Play it safe. Yeah.
So
yeah.
just
Not too aggressive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have to realize too, whatever we change, we're affecting the lives of riders or drivers.
Exactly.
So even like ChatGPT, we're not allowed to use that at work.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So with emerging technologies, I think internally we still kind of like pay attention, but it's not something
Yeah.
we jump on.
Yeah, we all know that there's some companies going a little bit too aggressive and has some issues, stopped services, and yeah, Lyft
Right.
being a public company as well.
Yeah. I mean, even with our autonomous division, it was bought out by a subdivision of Toyota, I believe. So I knew I think as a company, they knew that, we need to kind of let this part of the sector go and just focus more on ride sharing than like the autonomous vehicle division.
Maybe that's against Lyft's mission or philosophy, having a good time with the driver.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I never thought about that.
I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, possibly. All right, cool. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this episode, please click the like button, subscribe, and make sure to hit the notification button. Chris, thank you very much for coming.
No, my pleasure. No
Thank you.
problem.